This is Hallie Jackson at the White House. To prevent another Pittsburgh, President Trump's floating an idea he's brought up before. More guns in the hands of good guys to stop a bad guy.
If there was an armed guard inside the temple, they would have been able to stop him. Maybe there would have been nobody killed except for him, frankly.
Still, the president says he hates to think of filling places of worship with armed guards. On that, he finds common ground with local faith leaders.
If we were to simply arm more of us, that would be the solution, simply misunderstands the responsibility each of us has, and the president in particular, to lead us in the direction of peaceful coexistence.
While the national conversation centers more around toxic political rhetoric than guns, gun control has become an animating issue in some midterm races, like in Georgia. Democratic candidate Lucy McBath talks openly about the death of her son, killed by a man complaining about loud rap music in his car.
When my son was murdered, I vowed to make a difference.
Now, her grief fuels her candidacy. She and others, like Democrat Chrissy Houlihan, running for Congress outside Philadelphia, are making gun control a central part of their campaigns. But so are many Republicans fighting against it.
I own guns that no one's taken away.
A familiar message, and they believe a winning one. Still, recent polling shows the issue of guns is not one of the top motivating factors for most voters ahead of the midterms.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.